The Raiders and Dolphins traveled overseas to London, England for this Week 4 matchup. We'll get things started off with the Raiders. 3rd and 3 on the Dolphins' 43, as Ryan Mallett finds Jerry Maclin on the sidelines for a 16-yard completion. Gets down to their 27, and that brought up a 2nd and 11 as Ryan Mallett found Chris Ivory as he trucked his way all the way down to the 1-yard line. Chris Ivory is a man who would start on many teams, but here in Oakland, he is the 2nd man behind LeSean McCoy. Speaking of LeSean McCoy, that brings up a 1st and 1. They try to punch it with McCoy, but he fumbles on the goal line, and Curtis Lofton picks it up as the Dolphins took over on their own 20. And Andy Dalton dropped back on 1st and 10, and he found Santonio Holmes on the sidelines as he gets laid out by the corner, Chris Culliver. That brought up a 1st and 10, their own 41. And he found his tight end, Jermichael Finley, before he steps out of bounds. And that ultimately led to a read option touchdown as Andy Dalton takes it in himself, and it makes it a 7-0 lead after the extra point. The Dolphins kicked it off to the Raiders, and what do the Raiders do on their first possession back? Ryan Mallett throws a pick to Jonathan Banks, and he takes it all the way to the house for a pick 6, as it's now a 14-0 Dolphins lead. Second quarter action, Dolphins with the ball once again, Dalton in the shotgun, and he finds his receiver Andre Johnson over the middle for a 15-yard completion and a 1st down, all the way down to the Raiders' 22. That brought up a 3rd and 14, Dalton in the shotgun once again, and he finds Andre Johnson open once again in the end zone for 6. That made it a 21-0 Dolphins lead after the extra point. Later on in the second quarter, the Finns got the ball again as Dalton handed it off to his power running back Rashad Jennings as he put on a spin move and got a 13-yard gain. And that brought up a 3rd and 1 as a struggling defensive Raiders unit needed to pick up a stop, and Patrick Willis did just that. He stops Rashad Jennings in the backfield for a loss of 2. And that set up the Raiders to take over on their own 33 after the punt, and with that momentum, LeSean McCoy trucked over a corner, and he took it all the way. The 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? The Silver and Black finally got themselves on the board. It was now a 21-7 Dolphins lead. Mallett and his boys got the ball back at the very end of the second quarter as Ryan Mallett on 2nd inches probably could have handed it off, but decides to go deep to Randall Cobb for a huge gain. And he gets all the way down to the Dolphins' territory, their 45-yard line. And that brought up an opportunity that allowed him to air it into the end zone as Harry Douglas was open, and he caught it for a touchdown. They struck for 2 here at the end of the second quarter, and they trimmed that Dolphins lead all the way down to only a 1-touchdown lead. Second half action as Dalton and the Dolphins are on the Raiders' 23, and he could not get out of the pocket in time as Adrian Claiborne, the backup right end, picks up his first sack of the game for a loss of 9. That brought up a 3rd and 5 later in the drive, and Dalton gets taken down again, this time by the main defensive tackle, John Hankins out of Ohio State. And that forced a field goal as it was up and it was good, and that made it a 24-14 Dolphins lead. After the Dolphins kicked it off, the Raiders took over on their own 24, and they handed it off to LeSean McCoy. One play, and he picks up a 1st down on 1 rush so far in that drive. And then the very next play in the drive, they handed off the gut, and LeSean McCoy gets another 1st down. That extended him over 100 yards on the day, his 3rd straight game of 100+ yards on the ground. And this day and age, you need a running back who can do more than just run the ball, as he picks up a catch in the flats and he trucks his way for way more than he needs for the 1st down. And that McCoy catch set up a 1st and 10, the Dolphins' 23, as Ryan Mallett rolled out to his right and he found Randall Cobb in the end zone, and they cut down the lead even more as it's now a 24-21 Dolphins lead. 3rd and 2 now on their own 33 for the Dolphins, and Rashad Jennings was stopped just short of the 1st down by Steve Harness, the ex-Rutgers linebacker. It's 2nd and 7 for the Raiders now on their own 26 as Mallett finds McCoy in the flats, but he gets pummeled, and that's his 2nd fumble of the game. Very uncharacteristic day for McCoy. Luckily, when the Dolphins took over, it was 3rd and 2 once again, and they came up with another 3rd down stop. This time it was Stevie Brown, the safety, who came all the way up and stopped Jennings. And then they kicked it off to the Raiders. Dree Archer fielded it about the 5, and he found some space on the sidelines, and he got all the way down to the Dolphins' 28-yard line. Great field position for the Silver and Black, and that brought up Ryan Mount in the pistol. Play action to McCoy, rolled out to his left, and he found Harry Douglas over the middle for a first down. And then that brought up a 1st and 10 on the Dolphins 10 as they handed up the gut to LeSean McCoy. He pounded his way for the touchdown, and that made it a 28-27 Raiders lead. Their first lead of the ball game. Then they had to stop the Dolphins offense, and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie did just that with a pick. And that was how the cookie crumbled in this one. The Raiders came away with the win by a score of 28-27 here in London, England in Week 4 as they improved to 4-0 on the season, and the Dolphins dropped to 1-3. And with that being said, we'll wrap things up here for this Week 4 matchup as the Raiders come away with the win 28-27 as they improve to 4-0 on this season. They have a bye week in upcoming Week 5, and in Week 6 they'll take on the San Diego Chargers.
How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old